asking questions, and I expect people to put answers in the chat box. So, I'm going to rely upon you monitoring.
Sure, sir. I'll do that.
Fantastic. And the reason I ask them questions is to make sure they're awake, so they haven't fallen asleep.
So we are live on YouTube also, in case anybody wishes to join over there.
Answers in the chat box.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm going to rely upon you monitoring.
Sure, sir. I'll do that.
Fantastic. We even got echoes. The reason I ask them questions is to make sure they're awake, so they haven't fallen asleep.
So we are live on YouTube also, in case anybody wishes to join over there.
In the chat box.
Yes.
So,
will somebody check on the YouTube chat box then for the questions that come?
we even got echoes. I ask questions, make sure they're awake, so they haven't fallen asleep. Hope you've got water. You're going to need it.
Jeevan. Ma'am, I think we can start.
Yeah, sure, sir. A very good afternoon to one and all who have joined this session today. We welcome you all to the global mentorship session on what will guarantee your success. Why is it a guarantee? All of us look at success in our lives, whatever we do, whatever age we are in, wherever we are, we look at success. So welcome you all to this brainstorming session, which will brighten up your lives as to look at the way you look at your life, you look at things by the end of the session today. So I am Mrs. Ashu Kalra. I am the moderator for today's session, and I'm basically a senior advisor, education and life skills desk. I also hold the position of President, Central India Chapter Desk. My background is basically that of an academician, handling K to 12 schools, and the journey has been for more than 2 decades now. Moving to our host for today, letting you know about our esteemed mentor for today, Mr. Neville Gaunt. He is the chairman of Your Passport to Grow, changing the paradigm for young people, and he's the co-founder of MindFit, a UK-based company focused on improving people, leadership, and business performances. He's an international keynote speaker and author of various books. Some of them to name are Everything You Should Have Learned at School But Didn't. Can You Handle the Truth? Is Your Mind Fit for Golf? The Missing Link to Your Success. Mind Fit Golf for Kids. Behavioral Waste Management. And he has contributed to GOLDENHEART II. We Are Your Family. Along with this, as a finance professional, he has had a long career in large UK listed companies at both strategic and operational levels. His international corporate and commercial finance background is gained over 30 years in international businesses, mainly in the oil and gas industry, dealing with large and small businesses and complex supply chains. He has an accomplished track record of negotiating the business maze of short and long-term commercial, political, and environmental forces that influence all decisions. He regularly says, just do it. And his favorite motto by Henry Ford is, if you think you can, or you think you cannot, you are right. He believes everyone is talented, and as a coach, feels it's his duty to help unlock everyone so they experience success. It's an honor for us to have Sir here for this mentorship session. He's taken out time for us today, and I really hope we all benefit from this. So the key features, can we have the slide moved, sir? So the key features of this session are STEMnet, STEM we are all aware, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics network. Discover your unique style, develop positive approach to life and people, team building, participation, value system, culture and its importance, ability to learn, adapt, and negotiation skills for a better future. With this, I would not take much of your time and would invite our host, our esteemed host for today, Neville sir, to kindly take over and do the session for the session with us. So we're all waiting and we're all gathered in good numbers to learn from you today, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ashu, for the introduction. And I'm going to try and make today entertaining, educational, but equally it's going to be challenging. I'm sharing my screen at the moment. I hope you can see it. We'll go to the slideshow. All being well. The current slide. Yeah, there we go. Hopefully you can see that. Rather
Yes.
big on the screen, but there you go. So what will guarantee your success? Well, I wish I'd have known that when I was 18 years old, frankly, because it would have made my life a lot easier. But the reality is I did know it because I did it. I didn't know what I was doing, but 40 some years later, I'm into my 60s now, I now found out the secret to success. The other thing is, why is it a guarantee? Well, it's a guarantee, and I'm going to give you the answer straight away, is because we know it works. We have tried this at every single level, from very young people to very old people, in various disciplines, in various sectors, unemployed, long-term homeless, you name it, this has been tried and tested in all of those arenas. Fundamentally, I work in the business sector. So primarily I'm after people in organizations improving their performance so that it increases the bottom line and they're happier at work. But let's look at what will guarantee your success. And I'm just going to give you the answer. Henry Ford said it. And thanks to Ashu, she said it in the introduction. If you think you can do something or you think you can't do something, you're right. So you can now all go away because you know it's all down to attitude. And more importantly is a can-do attitude. So if you haven't got much time on your hands, you can clear off. Okay, goodbye. You don't need to wait for the rest. But now I'm going to prove to you actually that you can. Okay, because we just want to cut off can't. So if you want to write that down, I can't do it, and then cut it off, you can actually stick this on your PC or put it in an envelope or put it onto inside a wallet of your smartphone so that every day you refer to the fact that you can do it. It is a very powerful phrase when you get to know how to use it. Because again, in the introduction, I do believe everybody's talented. But I also believe that most people don't realize they are. So once you realize you are, you can do anything within reason. You know, I'm 64 years old. It's unlikely now that I'm going to be an astronaut. So you have to be reasonable. You have to be practical. So let's get into this. We knew that our attitude was the key to success as long ago as 1892. William James is known as the father of psychology, of positive psychology, if truth be known. And he said, human beings, by changing the inner attitudes of their minds, can change the outer aspects of their lives. Now, when he said that, he was saying it on the back end of lots and lots of research, lots of trials, lots of viewing, lots of just observing what people do. And again, it's over 100 years ago. For the mathematicians around, it's nearly 140 years ago. So it's a long time ago we've known this. Bringing it more up to date, we now get a definition of what attitude is. And it says a relatively enduring organization of beliefs, feelings and behavioral tendencies towards socially significant objects, people, groups, events or symbols. Rather a complicated explanation of what an attitude is, but you can look it up, Hogg and Vaughan. But now what we found is that attitudes drive our behavior, collectively build cultures, they improve performance whether or not we believe we deliver our potential. And that's a variety of areas, from the Harvard Business Review, from lots of other, from Gallup, from McKinsey's. All of this research is being done for us. So these are the facts. So if these are the facts, what's the reality of life? What's happening in the world? The other thing we also know is that when we come to leadership, which is what Aristotle was really talking about, we are what we repeatedly do. So excellence then is not an act, it's a habit. And it's a good habit. Being excel at what you do is a great habit. If you're striving to do something better, you know that you can improve your habit. So it's a bit like riding a bike. When you first get to ride a bike, you're a bit wobbly and you might fall off. But after a while, because you want to ride a bike, you get good at it. Now, not everyone becomes a supreme cyclist and enters massive competitions, but they do learn how to ride a bike. So there are levels of achievement as to where we want to go, and it's all about where you want to go. And something that I'm very famous for, if you like, in the world of coaching, you'll see who I am by what I do. So it's our behaviors that show who we really are. If we're constantly smiling, then people will know you as a smiler. My wife doesn't believe I'm a smiler. She says, Neville, you know, just let the inside of that laugh you've got affect your face. It might help, you know, because she can't tell whether I'm smiling or not. But anyway, today is all about the facts and the truth. And what I want to do is to give you some facts that actually start to set the scene. These may test your beliefs. Just run with it, okay? Because these are facts, well researched. The first fact is that our performance is directly related to our level of engagement. And we know that for a fact, okay? So when you're really involved in a project, your level of performance goes up. At the same time, the clock moves really fast. When you're not really engaged in a project, guess what? You're diverted, your attention goes, you're distracted easily, and the clock tends to go very slowly. But here's the news, everybody, it's the same clock. You're making it go faster because your level of engagement, or slower because you're disengaged. But now I'm going to ask you a question, and I'd like everyone to put it in the chat. Ashu, you're the moderator. Please have a look at this.
Sure.
What percentage of people in the world are engaged in what they do? What percentage? By the way, it's either 0 or 100 or somewhere in between. Are we getting any answers, Ashu?
No, sir. I'll let you know the moment we get.
Come on, everybody. This is to make sure you're all awake. This was advertised as an interactive session, so let's be interactive. What percentage of the world's population is engaged? In other words, very productive.
%20 is one answer that has come.
Okay.
%60.
60%.
Yeah. Request all to kindly send the answers on the chat box, please.
Yeah, just put the answers in. The quicker you put the answers in, the faster we can move forward.
I am getting messages.
90%.
We have 40%, Deepika ji 40%, Pradeep sir 10%,
Bihanji, 90%.
Mr. J 20, Akshika 35, Vidyansh 50,
Good.
Janvi 20.
Excellent. Now, these are all your opinions, which is
There are
absolutely
about
fantastic.
100 more responses.
Thank you very much. These are all your opinions, okay, which is absolutely fantastic. The research says 15. So the first person that put 20% wasn't far short, actually. It was pretty much close. In the main, what does that mean for the disengaged? Well, there are two elements of disengagement. One that's passively disengaged, which we will call the can't do people, and one that are called actively disengaged, which we call won't do people. Won't do people are saboteurs. They impact lots and lots of people in a negative way for their own benefit. Can do people are looking at the benefit of everybody. And it's as simple as that. But what we've got is quite a depressing 15% of the world's population is fundamentally supporting the other 85. Because these are the innovators, 15% of the innovators, they're the creators, they're the entrepreneurs, they're the people that want to make a difference. They believe they can do it. They may not know how, but they believe they can do it. And that's an inner belief. And remember what I said at the very beginning, we've known this since 1892. By changing the inner attitudes of our mind, we can change the outer aspects of our life. Okay, another percentage, which I find quite depressing, really, in the whole world realm of things. 80% of startups fail. There are thousands of startups being created across the globe. And the research still suggests that although lots and lots of startups are literally starting, entrepreneurs are starting businesses, 80% fail. Also, 80% of change programs fail. And we've seen that in the digital age since COVID, where the majority of digital programs that have been initiated into even the largest organizations have really not succeeded to the level they could have done. So digital change is failing, change programs are failing. The global workforce is suggesting that 80% are not productive, going back to the 15% that are productive. Now, what does that have an implication for global growth? But more importantly, what does it mean about sustainable development goals? And anyone that's done any work in sustainable development goals recognizes that to implement a new sustainable development goal, you need to do something differently. You need to change. But 80% of that change is going to fail because that's what the facts say. These are not my figures, by the way. This comes from McKinsey, HBR, Gallup, all of the Hayes, all of the researchers around the world. So these are facts. So therefore, if we know what these facts are, we can actually start to work on the reality rather than fiction. So someone put in 90% of people in the world are engaged. Well, it's going to come as a shock to that person to find out actually it's the other way around. 90% are almost disengaged. Now that will challenge each and every one of us, our beliefs, because those percentages I asked you to put into the chat box are your belief. So immediately, some of you are being challenged on day, right at the very beginning of this presentation. I don't make an apology for that. I'm just bringing you the facts. Now we've got the facts, let's move on. This is research that's done by Carnegie, Dale Carnegie Foundation. They do it every year. And again, we're talking about 100% here. In the middle, two numbers add up to 100%. Above the line, the skills and attitude account for a percentage of your success. Below the line, knowledge accounts for another percentage. So what I would like you to do in the chat box is, for attitude and skills, what percentage of your success do you think is attributed to your attitude and your skills? Now again, these are facts in your mind. These are your beliefs. How are we doing, Ashu?
We are waiting for what percent. Yeah, the question again has been mentioned. What percent of success
what percent
is
of your success
attitude?
Is attributed to attitude and skills?
So we're waiting for the answers still, sir. 90%, one answer from Rashmiji. 95%. 95%
says 100%. We have Mr. Chauhan saying 85%. Akshika Jindal 85%. Akash Teotia 90%. Kavesh Gupta 90%. Earth 90%. Soumya 99%. Alvina 95%. So we are getting figures somewhere close to 90, 95.
There's one 69 to 71 also by Tanishq Tyagi.
69 to 71. That's very precise, but thank you very much. Okay. Well, here's the answer. 85%. 15% is on our knowledge. And interestingly enough, what do schools teach? Knowledge. If you look at all of the skills above, very, very few schools, very few education establishments teach any of those skills. We don't teach people skills. We don't teach anything to do with attitude, courage, flexibility, being a team player, being a leader, being a listener. How many times have we heard, you know, you need to listen to think, not listen to respond. It's the biggest form of arguments because people don't think. They just respond immediately. And it's called unconscious response. So again, these are just the facts. But the good thing is everyone listening, everyone on the chat today is a firm believer that attitude and skills form a very high percentage of your success, which is good news because I've already said it's attitude that's going to put you right. Because if you don't have the right attitude, you're not going to develop good people skills. If you don't have the right attitude, you're not going to have a strong work ethic. So actually, fundamentally, this is underpinned by 100% of your attitude. Okay, let's move on. We've been moving towards this picture of you. So I look at me as a jigsaw, an incomplete person. So how do I know if I'm a good leader? Well, if I've never done any leadership, I wouldn't know. So I need to go and explore leadership. So over time and throughout your career, you will be completing your jigsaw. And the key to that is completing it so that you are happy with what you're doing. So this is what we're doing all the time. When we're very young, interestingly enough, that jigsaw is absolutely complete. When we're a child, we don't know anything. So it's complete. And we're actually taking pieces out of the jigsaw as we get older to put pieces back in again. So this is about lifelong learning. It's about literally taking what you know, taking your beliefs, challenging your beliefs, improving your experiences, and changing your attitude, which means you're going to improve your behavior. It really is as simple as that. So I do this all the time, and I see Ashu is smiling. So consciously, you're all here consciously, right? Put your hand up if you're not here consciously. Right, good. You're all here consciously, right? You are physically here. You're awake. Under those circumstances, I'm going to give you a choice, a conscious choice. You have two ladders. There's a happy ladder and a stress ladder, an unhappy ladder. Which ladder would you choose to go up? Again, put it in the chat. Happy or stress?
Answers have already started pouring in. Happy for everybody.
Okay, now
Before the question came with the visual.
Now we're cooking. Has anyone put stress? Ashu?
No.
No. Well, there's a surprise.
Now, one person has put both, sir.
One person's put both. Okay, fair enough. We'll maybe that person we can have a chat later. But consciously,
yes,
we would all choose happy.
We have one stress.
We have one stress. No, this is choose.
Yes,
and
is Prince is again stress.
Are you actively choosing to go up the stress ladder out of a choice? Just think about that. Okay, now I would like everyone in the chat box to say, do they ever get stressful, annoyed, anxious? This is a little bit of honesty coming through, but it's quite simple because I'm going to put my hand up and say, yes, I do. But out of conscious choice, I would choose to be happy. But that doesn't mean I don't get stressed.
Dear participants, if you could put your responses on the chat box, please. That's a request. We'll have a question answer session at the end.
Now, the interesting thing is...
Yes, I do get stressed. Yes is coming as an answer, sir.
Yeah, it is. And the key to that is we all get stressed. But when do we recognize we're getting stressed? How far up the ladder do you go before you're pulling your hair out. So the key is consciously, we would choose happy, but subconsciously takes over what you do as a habit. And it's that habit we need to break. So if you get stressed, we need to work out when you get stressed. What's happening when you get stressed? What's the context? What happens immediately before you get stressed?
Neville,
Then you can deal with that particular issue and you can go back up the happy ladder, which is what you would choose ordinarily.
Neville, sir, can I
Sir.
interrupt you?
Yes.
A very interesting perspective brought out by Tanish Tyagi. The person says, I would like to use the stress ladder because if we are happy, it means we are having everything we need and we will not do much hard work. But while we are stressful, we do hard work more than our efficiency. So
Well,
just thought I will highlight this to you.
yeah, no,
Sorry.
it's the thing is, it works for him. It's his perspective. It works for him. I love to be challenged. Does that mean that means I'm unhappy? No, it means I'm very happy to be challenged. So again, it's everyone's different perspective of what drives you on, and we will touch that, because as we get further into this, you will realize, and I will share with you, that there are 4 things that are constantly happening in our mind, no matter what we do. Okay, let's have a little bit more fun. What can you see? And again, please put your answer in the chat box. What can you see? How are we doing? Any answers?
A duck, duck and rabbit, bunny, a bird, then duck, rabbit.
Did you say someone put duck and rabbit?
Yeah, some have put duck and rabbit also.
Okay.
Dog, toy duck, rabbit and duck, number 2 and duck rabbit. A duck with his head high, held high.
Okay, we're getting some real adjectives added in here, aren't we? An explanation. A duck with his head held high.
Held high. So by and large, duck and rabbit.
Okay, for those that can see a rabbit, can I suggest you move your head to the right and see if you can see something else? And for those that can see a duck, can I suggest you move your head to the left? And if you can see something else. Now, for the person that put number 2, now we're getting into awareness. But did that person think there's a number 6 there? Or a number 3? Or an eclipse of the moon? You see, the thing is, you immediately shut your brain down by giving me one answer. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a picture made up of a couple of dots, a few lines, and a squiggle. And this is half of our problem. Once we get the answer we want, we shut down our thinking. So there is no more. How can you be innovative if you shut down your thinking? How can you be an entrepreneur if you shut down your thinking? Now, this is just a very simple, childish picture, but hopefully it demonstrates that our beliefs immediately overtake whatever's going to come next. So challenge everything. If you don't believe it, if you don't like it, find somewhere else where you can get the answer. And again, this is down to your attitude. If your attitude says, I've got the answer, don't need to look any further, guess what? You won't look any further. Because that's your habit. That's what you formed. Now, these are just very simple little exercises to get you to think. And I hope that's all it's doing. I just want you to think. Now I'm going to give you, for those mathematicians out there, they love equations. I love equations. This is an equation. Your beliefs and your experience form your attitude, and your attitude in action is your behavior. Now, We all want good behaviors, don't we? We all want great results, don't we? To do that, you've got to have a good attitude. To have a good attitude, you need to have some of the best experiences. More importantly, you need to challenge your beliefs. Some people think the world is flat still, despite the fact all the evidence says it's round. Other people still believe that the Earth is in the middle of the universe, and we all, mostly of us, know that it's the sun that's in the middle of the universe. And there are many different types of universe out there. So again, this is really looking at the foundation of you as an individual. And in the preamble to this, in the video that I shared, we're not at the 50th, 60th floor yet. We're actually in the foundation. We need to build that strong foundation so that you can grow. And that's where we're going to focus. So I want to take you on a journey, and I want to take you on a journey to when you were a child, when you were a baby. It was a long, long time ago for me. It may not be as long ago for you. I have two very young grandsons, and I can see them now as to what I might have been when I was very young. So I'm going to give you a few pictures here. And remember the duck, what we see, what we observe. And I'd like you to just look at everything here. We're only talking about a child learning to walk, a baby learning to walk. Because typically we learn to walk between about 8 and 16 months, pretty approximately. And every single child on this world learns to walk, unless they've got a disability. But every single child learns to walk. The one at the top left is probably thinking about walking, okay? But that little baby there really is not forming thoughts, not thoughts as we know it, you know, as all the attendees here. Their imagination is running rampant. They're looking at other people. And remember, they can't spell, they can't read, they can't write. The good news is they've not gone to school, so they haven't had any can-do attitude taken out of them. But they're thinking, they're exploring. As the little boy in the middle at the top, he's exploring. Oops, I missed. The little boy on the left that fell over, do you think he would get up and stand up and get up and walk again? Yeah, of course he will. I just made a mistake. The one on the bottom, the little girl in the pink, made a big mistake. She's crying her eyes out. Will that stop her from getting up and walking again? No, it won't. We all look and we see the one in the middle. That's a lovely, you know, that's the happy place. That's where children learn everything. Well, they don't. The child at the bottom, falling over. Thankfully, you know, this is someone learning how to ride a bike. And her parents, fortunately, gave her some good head restraint, which helped her when she hit her head, because it would have hurt a lot more had it not been for thoughtful parents. And what about the little boy on the right there with that bruise? I do believe he's got a smile on his face, you know, but he's been through an experience that has been life-changing for him, not life-threatening. You know, he's still alive and kicking. What about the one at the bottom right? My goodness, what on earth is he thinking about? Talk about brave. See what he's doing. Now, all of these pictures are about a child learning to walk. So, what do you think the attitude is of that child learning to walk? Please put it in the chat. Is it a can do or a can't do? While you're doing that, the psychologists and neuroscientists now all believe that we're born with a positive bias. Now, put very simply, that's a very technical term, positive bias. Put very simply, we're all born with a can-do attitude.
It's a can-do everywhere, sir.
It's a can-do everywhere. Absolutely fantastic. So
because he feels the trust, love, and support of the parents. This is also what somebody's written.
There's always that element, the coaching and mentoring element of people around us. And it's not just parents, by the way, it's siblings. So if you've had brothers and sisters, they will say, come on, Neville, you can walk. You know, I can't remember them saying that. And when I got a lot older, they were probably saying something different, you know, but the reality of life is when I was a baby, they were encouraging me to walk. Everyone was encouraging me to walk. So again, in the chat box, can you walk? And if you can walk, you now know, because you've put a can-do attitude, every child has a can-do attitude. Every baby has a can-do attitude. Therefore, you did have a can-do attitude at one point in your life. I will explain exactly what having a can-do attitude is with the 4 things that I mentioned earlier. So you will know when you've got a can-do attitude. More importantly, if any of those 4 things are negative, you will know when you've got a can't do or a won't do attitude. And again, that's guaranteed. The next question I'm going to ask, have I just told you common sense? Is anything that I've suggested to you here other than common sense? Please put it in the chat box if you think it isn't common sense.
Pure common sense?
It is common sense. We know it. But
yes,
my response to that is it's not common practice. What we hope to do today is to help you make it more common practice for you. And this is what we've got here. I love this picture because, again, going back to the duck, what we see is first, second, and third. What we don't see is the hard work, the effort, the blood, sweat, and tears, the early mornings, late nights, injury, pain, elation, goals, joy, time, effort, rest, motivation, strategy. I'm just reading these words underneath, okay? We don't see any of that. And it's all underpinned by attitude. So remember, to achieve whatever you want to achieve, you just have to have the right attitude. That's the lesson for today in a nutshell. It's really as simple as that. And I can see some of you nodding so that you know it. It is common sense. But now let's work out a little bit how we get there. Because attitude will drive your behavior, it creates your culture, and it improves your performance. Because it's your performance that's key to all this. We want you to be the best you can be in whatever you want to do. If you want to be a chief exec, absolutely fine. If you want to be a bookkeeper, absolutely fine. If you want to be a teacher, absolutely fine. If you want to be a principal of a school or a college, absolutely fine. You choose what you want to do. And it's all underpinned by a can-do attitude. So I'm going to say, I'm prefacing this here, on the left-hand side, you'll see today, okay? Because it may not be what you have tomorrow. So have you a can-do mindset today? And I promised you the 4 elements that are constantly in action in anything you do. And these kick off what you do as well. And I'm going to start with number 2, because feelings are the ones that kick in immediately. And the reason for that is someone shouts at you, you know, your feelings are immediately affected. If someone is talking to you quietly and getting your engagement, then they're recognizing your feelings immediately. And you're more open to discussion and thoughts. So feelings kick in straight away. And what we say, you need to feel emotionally competent and resilient. Now, this isn't emotional intelligence. This is being emotionally competent and resilient. And that might mean strong enough to stand up to somebody. So if someone's shouting at you, you can stand up to them because they may be saying something that's interesting and useful. It's not always the case if they're shouting, but 9 times out of 10, they've got the problem, you haven't. The one that really underpins all of these 4 is driven with a real sense of purpose. Now, there's so much discussion on the web around find your purpose. Finding your purpose is one thing. Being driven by it is another. And as we move through life, our purpose will change. So when I was 18, my purpose was to get a good degree. I'm 64. Is that still my purpose? No, it's not my purpose at all. I got my degree. I moved on. My purpose changed. But now, after that, I realized it wasn't just a sense of academic achievement. It was a purpose for my life. Once you find out the purpose for your life, you can be driven on by it. And the best entrepreneurs in the world are driven by that sense of purpose. Able to think flexibly and appropriately. It's really important. So thinking also includes listening. So if you're a very good listener and then you think flexibly and appropriately, you can think short term, long term, medium term. Should we be doing this? Should we be doing that? What happens if that went wrong? How can we improve it? And immediately, even things that go wrong, because you're thinking flexibly and appropriately, you're not blaming yourself. As soon as you start to say that was my fault, you have lost your feeling emotionally competent and resilient. And the last thing is able to connect meaningfully with others. Because if we can't connect meaningfully with others, then we've got a real problem. And that's not just about communications. This is about connecting with others, having empathy, sympathy, understanding others in the team. So we have what we call the 4 brains: thinking, feeling, driven, and social connectivity. And if those 4 are all positive, I will guarantee you're in a can-do attitude. If any one of those 4 is negative, it's like a slippery slope, like getting up to the top of a slide and having a sad thought or a negative thought, and immediately you're on the slide on the way down. And the key thing to that is when you recognize you're not in a can-do attitude, you can stop, make a change, look at the context, and get back into the can-do state. I regularly fall down when I get frustrated, not necessarily at myself, but at other people not contributing. And I just take a step back and think, it's their problem, not mine. You know, I need to get back into my can-do attitude. And by having that positivity, hopefully it'll impact them and it'll pull them up as well. And equally, I can make suggestions from a can-do perspective as opposed to a can't-do or won't-do perspective. And the can-do perspective will always be positive, encouraging, inspirational, engaging. So I hope you understand what these pieces are, and you'll see in the background of behind me, you'll see the map. So you can actually take the map away. I've shown it several times. I showed it at the beginning when we had the Henry Ford. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. The map actually is attached there. So that map is really important for you to use going forward. I want now to pick out one person in history, and I'm sure you've got thousands of explanations. Ashu, I see you're smiling again. I can only see a number of people on here. I can't see you all, but this one person in industry, to me, is the epitome of an innovator and someone with a can-do attitude. And everyone outside of Edison would look at it, no, he's failed again, he's failed again, he's failed again. If Edison ever thought he'd failed, that would have emotionally affected him. So going back to the feelings, if you continually say, I failed, I did that wrong, rather than, well, it didn't quite go right, but if I do this, it might work. There's no guarantee it'll work, but you're doing something different. You're being driven onwards. And whether it was 10,000 ways that it didn't work, but this is the quote, okay? I found 10,000 ways that won't work. But remember, Edison had nothing more than that child: faith, courage, and persistence. 3 words that that child needed to walk. You had that when you were a child. Part of today is to help you realize you can recover that position in whatever you do. The context may have changed. I'm 64 years older than I was when I was starting to walk, and the context has changed considerably over that time. And the context will change every single day. But who turns up? A can-do person or a can't or won't do person? So the key to your success actually is you, and it's your attitude. Now to what a lot of you have been waiting for, maybe, is here we're going to give you a free chapter. Now, when I was speaking with Ashu and her colleagues, when we were talking about doing this session, everyone said, oh, we'll give everyone a free copy of your book. My comment was, no one will read the book, but they might read a chapter. So I want to give you this free chapter. It's about the value of failure, which everyone is concerned over. And I want you to commit to reading it 3 times at least, answering the questions at the end of the chapter. In other words, engage with the chapter. It's written for you. And then go and share your thoughts with others. So again, in the chat box, number 1, do you want the book? Number 2, do you want the chapter? Number 2, will you commit to those 3 things? So ideally, I'd like yes, all 3, or no. We can have somewhere in between, but ideally, I'd like you to say yes, all 3. By the way, you're going to be sent this chapter anyway, so I'm just interested to know, who's still listening, who's engaged.
It's a yes, 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 yes. All 3 has come from Krishnakant Jhaji. Yes, all 3 from me also.
Fantastic.
Yes, yes, interesting.
Now we can already have all 3 of it, courtesy Neville. It shall be hosted on the website very soon.
Fantastic.
After this session is over, it will all be available. Yes, sir. As what.
And the interesting thing is, it will be a surprise to the hosts here, but we could have a follow-up on that chapter. But there's no point in having a follow-up if you haven't read it. So the whole point is read it at least 3 times, answer the questions, because these are questions for you, not for me, not for your next door neighbor, not for your colleague at work, not for your friend in school. These are questions for you to answer. And going back to that jigsaw at the beginning, I'm here trying to help you fill the jigsaw. So you really do understand who you are Because once you understand who you are, the next step is very, very easy. And it's a lot easier coming from a position of knowledge and facts than it is about perception. So again, what we're doing is we're closing the perception and reality gap. And that's what MindFit does. It's what your Passport to Do Grow does all the time. It helps you grow by you looking at yourself and you viewing yourself through not just other people's eyes, but your eyes. When I'm Mr. Angry, I look in the mirror, I don't like me. I don't like me for two reasons. Firstly, if I'm angry, I've shut down part of my brain that's thinking. If I'm angry, I'm not making the best decisions. I know that for a fact. I've had 64 years trying it, so, the longer you have on this earth, the more opportunity for making mistakes. But hopefully I'm on balance. I'm getting things more right than wrong now. And this chapter will help you do that. So that's it, everybody. It's been a little longer than I wanted, but that probably is because you weren't putting answers in the chat box quick enough. Okay. So next time, put them in the chat box quicker. But thank you all for attending. It's now question and answer session. So again, over to our host, Anashu, to direct me accordingly.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the insights, sir. And now we are open for a question and answer round a session. Mukul sir, if you could please help me. And now people, all the participants, you can raise hands in case you have a question, or you can ask a question directly. Mukul sir? Mukul sir, are you there?
I'm very much there.
Any questions, anybody?
Yes. Yeah, we are all open to questions. If you wish to ask, you can please raise your hands, or you can ask it directly. I'm unmuting everyone.
Lavkush Kumarji, I think. He has a question.
Please feel free to ask your questions now.
I just saw something in the chat. I couldn't see who it was, but successful people know this intuitively. They do, but they don't know it.
Good afternoon, sir.
But they don't know it for any other reason than they've experienced it.
I think, Neville sir, we have a question.
Yeah,
yes,
go
please
ahead.
go ahead. I had a question from a participant. Please go ahead with your question, please.
Any questions from anybody, please? You wouldn't get this opportunity very soon again, so make the best use of the opportunity and make it happen. Any question, any doubts?
Arth, are you there? Arth, can you please listen to me? I think
again,
are
I've
they
noticed...
not able to unmute themselves? I think, is that the issue? If there is someone who needs to ask a question, you have to unmute yourself and then ask a question, or you can put it in the chat.
If I can refer to one person that put it in the chat, and I'm gonna say exactly what he put in the chat. I can't see who it was, unfortunately. He said, I found in my own successes of late that achievement comes not because I started working harder, but rather as a result of looking within myself and asking some tough questions. And that's very true. You can work better and more productively if you look at yourself, ask the tough questions, and give yourself honest answers. The other thing is, by the way, if you can't be honest with yourself, go to your best friend and tell your best friend to be absolutely brutally honest with you when you ask them the question. So don't just take things for granted.
Okay, I think we have a lot of
someone's trying to come
speakers who
through.
needs to ask a question now, sir.
Yep, go ahead.
They were on mute. Yes.
Right.
Parth,
Yes.
you wanted to ask a question, please?
No, sir. I
Okay.
didn't want to ask any question.
Okay.
If you want to ask a question, can you just put your hand up? Because I think I saw people do that before. Then we can unmute you.
I think, sir, the session has been so very detailed that there is no scope for any questions for anyone to ask.
No, plus I would like to add on here, sir.
Please,
I think
ma'am.
sir has left them with a lot of food for thought. And now
Yes.
they are engrossed in that kind of, reflecting and trying to figure out. I believe that's the stage for me, at least. So
Very true. Very true.
There is a lot that I've shared with you.
yes, sir.
However, as Ashun already knows, because we've had more in-depth conversations, we're only scratching the surface. And this is why let's just take, if you want to improve your communication skills, and typically that happens when you've left education, university, or wherever you, and someone says you need to improve your communication skills. And so you sign up for a communications course, which looks exactly what you should be signing up for. And the issue to that is you may go and pay your money with the best of intentions of improving your communication. But if you'd have heard the video I did prior to introducing this session, those courses are probably on the 5th, 6th, and 7th floor of the building. Where we are today, we're still in the foundation. We haven't got out of the foundation. And all the work I do, interestingly, around the world, is I tend to stay in the foundation. Because there are thousands of courses I can send people to improve a skill. But if you've got the wrong attitude, you're not going to go and get the best value out of improving that skill. And it really is as simple as that. Someone said, where am I from? I live just outside of London. I was born in Leeds. If anyone knows where Leeds is, it's 200 miles north. So I'm a Yorkshireman. So to wrap up then, because I think a lot of you are still thinking, there's still a lot of people that are still here waiting. Please, you will be sent a link to the chapter. That chapter will take you, by the way, don't just read the chapter, read the preface to the book, because reading the preface will give you the context of why the book was written. So when I ask you to read it at least 3 times, read the whole thing 3 times. It will take you, if you're a slow reader, it will take you 20 minutes to read the chapter. If you're a fast reader, I want you to slow down in your reading and it will take you 20 minutes. Please don't read it fast, okay? The session today had lots of little gems and I hope you were taking notes. The book, fortunately, that chapter has got 100 more gems in it. And each time you read it, you will find another one. And at the end of the chapter, there will be questions. So it's a bit like going to school, going into a classroom. And the teacher says, read this chapter and answer the questions. That's all we're asking you to do. And these are very personal questions. They're all about you. They're all about what you do, how you do it, why you do it. The key to this is, remember that jigsaw that had a big question mark in the middle? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help you complete the jigsaw so that you can use yourself in the context wherever you are.
Thank you so much, sir. Now the questions coming up related to which school did you study and who inspired you. Now, after this wonderful session and everybody is awestruck and into deep thoughts, I would now request Dr. Naveen Bafna ji to kindly propose the word of thanks. Dr. Naveen Bafna, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Speaker Mr. Neville Gaunt and Moderator Ashu ji. आपने बहुत अच्छी तरह moderate किया and sir spoke very well. And I would like to say something for the members of desk. आए हो निभाने किरदार ज़मीं पर कुछ ऐसा कर चलो कि जमाना मिसाल दे. Am I audible?
Yes, Naveen ji.
और मैं डेस्क के मेंबर्स को कहना चाहूंगा कि कल तक दूर से देखते थे कारवां, आज कारवां का हिस्सा हो गए. कल तक पहचान न थी कोई, आज घर घर का किस्सा हो गए. तो हम इसी तरह से चलते रहें और इसी तरह के अगर हम प्रोग्राम्स ऑर्गेनाइज करते रहेंगे तो वन फाइन डे वी विल बी where we can't think of also. And once again, I am very much thankful to Mr. Neville and Ashu ji. You have done a good job being the moderating the session. And yes, best wishes to all of you. Thank you very much.
At the end, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Neville Gaunt, Ashu ji, Dr. Naveen Bafna, and the entire management of their
We've lost you, sir. Yeah, now you're audible, sir. Hello.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes,
so,
you're audible now,
on behalf of the entire management of Digital Education and Skills Council, I would like to convey my
Seems we've got a connection issue.
Yeah, it seems that he has lost the connection. Well,
Uncle, don't worry. It's been a pleasure. You know, it's been great to see so many people sign up. Hopefully, at least one person is going to be reflecting on their life. I hope you enjoy the chapter. It was written with a lot of heart-searching thoughts. It's the first book, actually, of a series of 5. This book is everything you should have learned at school but didn't, should say everything in the title. And the first book is about your attitude and your soft skills, which is where we are today. So as you now know, your attitude will underpin all of your actions. So I hope you can repeat the opportunity you had as a baby. You learned to walk with no knowledge, but you were driven with a real sense of purpose to walk. You developed a can-do attitude by falling over, hurting yourself, getting up and doing it again. Now's the opportunity in your life where you currently are to do the same. And more importantly, you know you can. So that's why I know that everyone's talented. You just have to find out how talented you are.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank
My
you very
pleasure.
much.
Thank you, sir.
Ashu
Thank you,
ma'am,
Naveen,
am I
sir.
audible now?
Thank you so
Wonderful
much.
experience you have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
sir.
Audible?
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
I'm so
was a
sorry.
wonderful
Please,
session, sir.
I'd lost
Thank
my
you.
connection at the last. I think I had lost my connection, sir. Extremely thankful for a wonderful session. And the participation certificates will be dispatched. There is a website link which we shall be sharing. And I will request everyone to please visit that link, download your participation certificate, and also your ebook, which has been promised by sir during his session. The link has been shared in the chat. So please do visit that. And I'm extremely sorry. I had lost my internet connectivity at the end. So I was in fact speaking about sir, and I was thanking him from the for the entire
No,
effort. So
no
we're
worries.
grateful to you, sir. Neville sir, it's always a pleasure listening to you. It's always a pleasure listening to you. Grateful, sir. Thank you so very much.
My pleasure. All right. Enjoy your day,
People
everyone.
who are connected, we can take a photograph. Maybe you can switch on your cameras. One photograph, sir.
Yeah, we can do that. If people switch on their photographs.
Kindly switch on your cameras. We can take one photograph. Participants, we request you to kindly switch on your cameras.
You have a countdown, including you, Mukul.
I have already switched on, sir.
All right. Okay. I just see
Yes,
host
yes.
and it doesn't show it.
I'm here, sir. I'll have to remove focus from you so that everybody else is visible. Yes. Now we all are visible, and I will take one snap so that the same can also be posted on our Facebook and other pages.
Say sausages, everybody, and that looks like you're smiling.
Session, sir, I'm really grateful to you.
Pleasure.
Somehow lost my internet connectivity at the very end, and so my vote of thanks remained incomplete. But really grateful to you, Ashu ma'am,
Thank you
to
so
Dr.
much, sir.
Naveen Bafna, and to Mr. Neville Gaunt, once again for making this event such a big hit. And it is available on YouTube, and also it is available. Whatever was not able to attend, they can do it again. Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for this amazing. So, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.